Yeah, I mean, we work very closely with audiologists. We're very lucky to be in the Chicago area where we have our families have access to really amazing audiology and cochlear implant programs. So we do work very closely with them. So if we're working with a child and they are, say, the child has a severe to profound loss. So we're trying to, to determine whether or not the child receives enough benefit from amplification to stay with hearing aids, or do they really need cochlear implants? So the audiologists do the behavioral testing in the sound booth, and also, other testing such as is ABR, auditory brainstem response test. So they put all of their audiological information together, and then our role is to assess the child's functional response to sound and their speech and language development and give that information back to the audiologist. And that helps us all work together to determine, yeah, these hearing aids are really just not providing enough access to sound. The parents want the child to learn spoken language, and so the next logical step is a cochlear implant, which would give access to all speech sounds along the speech spectrum. Included in all of that also are a child. Throughout the candidacy process for a cochlear implant, they go through a number of medical tests and to make sure that they are medically candidates as well.
Yeah, and Tatum, do these children have to have a minimum level of audition that they can, so that you can move forward with a spoken language program, or is that, uh,
Do you mean like post amplification?
yes.
Um, I would say that there's no there's probably like gold standards where we want amplification to get children to. Um, and like on the audiogram, what is it, Wendy? Like the green bean, the
Yeah,
string bean.
the string bean.
What is that at like 20 dB? I should know this off the top of my head. Or is it
Yeah.
30? Yeah. So, so ideally, once you get a cochlear implant, the audiologist is going to work to map that implant or program that implant up until they can get the child up to that 20 dB across the audiogram. So that's where we're ideally aiming for. As Wendy has mentioned, in response to another question, sometimes we work with children that have auditory neuropathy spectrum disorder or potentially have other things going on where perhaps an implant isn't going to get them consistent access to sound all of the time. Not like that's not cut and dry with an auditory neuropathy spectrum, but sometimes we work with children where perhaps like they don't have that ideal access to sound. And sometimes those kids can still have success with listening and spoken language. So it's kind of, I would say that they might go through like a trial process with like a lot of parent education about expectations. Um, and really close monitoring to make sure that that child is developing language, because our main goal is for these kids to get language. So if listening and spoken language goals need to be reassessed for certain children, like we'll help the families through that process as well. So I wouldn't say that there's like a clear cutoff that you need. There's like the ideal standard that's definitely gonna promote um, or maybe would make us more confident in the outcomes that we can inform a family about. But it's not like that's cut and dry.